Hi guys, and welcome to another video. So before we do get into this match review, I just want to obviously quickly just say that in the future, when we are in obviously starting the proper league games and we're getting in competitive games, my match reviews, they will just be dedicated to one video. There'll be nothing else. It'll literally just be a video dedicated to the match review, and we'll talk about the match. Whereas with it being in pre-season, I'll obviously talk about it briefly, but any other sort of transfer rumours as we go through the transfer window as well that are happening around the time of that match, I'll discuss that as well, which is what I'm going to do today. So we did take on Darlington yesterday and we did lose 1-0. You know, I'm not too arsed about the result. I'm not, especially in earlier pre-season games. Obviously, as it comes to the back end of the pre-season games, then I would like us to get into a bit of a winning mentality. But you know, especially the first one, I'm not really too fussed. I've already seen bloody fans saying, you know, different owner, different manager, same old shit. It's just like, Jesus Christ, man. One game into pre-season and you've already thrown the bloody towel in. Bloody hell. But yesterday's game, if anything, for me anyway, it was more just to give them all a bit of game time. There was a lot of youngsters on, a lot of new players that need to gel in there as well. So we'll briefly talk about it, and we'll start off with the goal. Obviously, Darlington got their goal very early on in the 9th minute, and it was Ozturk, who I'll briefly speak out as well, who made a bit of an error leading up to the goal. But with Ozturk, you know, he was probably our only sort of goal-scoring threat for the opening 20-30 minutes as well. So I think he could potentially be a bit of a fun one, you know. Well, I say fun. But, you know, he looks like he's open to a mistake, but also he seems very sort of strong in the air and might even grab us a goal or two as well. So it's going to be, I think, a bit of a love-hate relationship with him. So we'll have to wait and see how that unfolds. And his centre-back partner, Flanagan, I'm still a bit unsure on him, to be fair with you, but he's someone who looks like he likes to keep the ball on the ground and sometimes a bit guilty of keeping it on the ground a bit too much and trying to be a bit too comfortable on the ball, because, again, he lost the ball in a really daft area, basically on the edge of the box when he's trying to, you know, dribble around with it on the edge of his own bloody box, and he lost the ball, and luckily Darlington only managed to hit the post from that opportunity. But he's someone who, you know, if he's coached correctly, he could be a decent player, because, you know, you can have all the sort of who-fit defenders in the world, but it's nice to have someone who can bring the ball out from the back and build from the back and start an attack from the back as well. So if he's coached correctly, I think he could be a very good player. James, the left back as well, I think he looked half decent as well, particularly in the opening stages, getting tackles in anyway, because I think the opening stages were probably our worst stages in that game. But James, he looked half decent, getting stuck in there and stuff like that, and he can definitely become a bit of an attacking threat as well. But on the whole, guys, you know, it wasn't a fantastic performance. If anything, it was pretty goddamn poor. It was pretty awful. But after the sort of shaky start, we did dominate the game in terms of possession, but we just didn't make anything of it. It got to the point where every time we got in the final third, we just looked clueless. We didn't really know what to do. And I think that just sort of highlights the striker search that needs to be underway, and I think is underway. But one thing I did point out on Instagram yesterday was that really confusing trial list. Why the hell did we bring in Anton Forrester on a trial? Okay, right, so I know he's not known for his goal-scoring attributes. Granted, because the last 3 years I think he's scored 2 or 3 goals, or 4 goals, which for a striker is pretty poor. But why wouldn't you, even if we don't have many strikers, you know, to choose from, why wouldn't you just play either Madger, or you can stick Gooch up top, or just any youngster, play someone out of position to give him minutes? Do you know what I mean? I just don't understand why we bring a trialer who again, you know, he doesn't score goals. He's been heavily plagued by injuries throughout his career, and he's only 24. Why on earth would you give him a trial? He's just been released by Port Vale. So us, who are apparently trying to go for, you know, the title in League One, or try and get promoted at least, why on earth would he even remotely appeal to us? But, you know, I looked at Stuart Donald's Twitter this morning when people did question him about that trial list, and he didn't have a clue about it. He didn't even know that it happened, apparently, that he was even on trial. So I'm just hoping that we don't see him again. I mean, I'm all for, you know, giving people trials, but not someone like that. You know, it just really confused me, to be honest, and to be honest with you, and it annoyed me a little bit. I just didn't understand the reasoning behind it. But, you know, away from that, you know, the likes of Dylan McGeoch, he looked relatively good. Someone who is probably going to need a bit of assistance in midfield, but he does definitely have some fantastic vision. He can definitely pick out a pass, and he likes to control that midfield a little bit. And in that midfield as well yesterday was Baldy Mumba, 16-year-old Mumba, who, to be fair, you know, he didn't have an absolutely incredible performance, but for a 16-year-old, he didn't look out of his depth, which is absolutely fantastic. And there are tiny little positives like that you can take from pre-season, even if it is what looks like an embarrassing defeat to Darlington, you know. So I think Mumba, you know, hopefully he does get a chance next season, because he did, like I say, he didn't look out of his depth at all. And that Darlington side were a very, very physical side, and that's probably one of the biggest things that worried me. We're going to be facing really tough physical sides, maybe not the greatest quality sides next season, but they're going to be very physical. We're going to be needing to battle, and that's something that the players didn't look like they have. You know, the physical side of it. So, you know, we're going to have to build these players out, not necessarily smash the gym, but just, you know, get a bit of a backbone, and, you know, don't whimper out of a challenge and stuff like that, which I saw a couple of times yesterday. But so yeah, that was the game. Finished 1-0. Not fantastic. Jack Ross wasn't, you know, incredibly pleased. He did say, you know, it's just obviously more for fitness and a bit of game time and stuff like that, but he would have liked to see a different approach from the players. He said that the players pretty much treated it as it was, as a friendly, when really he wanted them to go in and treat it as if it was a competitive game, you know, and work the socks off, which didn't necessarily happen. But yeah, so that was the game. Now, just moving on to a little bit of transfer news. Obviously, this happened a few days ago now, but I didn't really want to talk about it because it's not official that anything's happened as of yet. And I don't really just like to do rumour videos anymore because it gets tedious and annoying. But Swansea made a bid of $2 million for Joel Osoro, which has been accepted. And that's also caused absolute mayhem, all over bloody social media, because everyone, or a lot of fans, have been wanting 9 or 10 million for him. And first of all, where the bloody hell did you get that figure from? For Joel Osoro, I mean, 2 million, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say that it's a fantastic fee, because it's not. I would have probably wanted about 3 or 4 million for him, personally. But people who wanted 9, 10, 11 million for Joel Osoro, it's absolutely ridiculous. We've overhyped, and I've said this in previous videos, there's a percentage of fans that overhype our young players way too much. Like I've said a million times last season, likes of Osoro and Maja, even after bloody match days where we've got battered and lost big important league games, you've still got fans all over their you know, Instagram accounts or Snapchat or whatever, any form of social media, calling them legends or the future of Sunderland, or, you know, great performance today, when they played shocking. Do you know what I mean? So you're setting that standard of, you know, you can play shit and we'll still love you, and we think that that's acceptable. We've set that standard from, we've probably pumped their heads and, you know, and their ego, and made them believe there's something that they're not. Because if we're completely honest, like, again, Stuart Donald did say on Twitter, for someone who, talking about Osoro, for someone who has only played, you know, half a season worth of games, you know, he only made at the back end of 20-odd appearances, scored, what, 3 goals, something like that, and didn't, you know, set the world alight. To ask for, you know, 9 to 10 million, that's bloody ridiculous. And he only has 1 year left on his contract as well. So, and he doesn't want to be here. So I don't know what people are wanting. You know, I think it's a bit too much. Granted, 2 million, I do think it's a little bit too low. But I think some fans, I'm not saying all fans, of course not, but there are some fans who just have this sort of unrealistic value of certain players. For example, when McNair was on the verge of leaving, and people saying he should be going for, you know, 20 million, which was just, to me, it was ridiculous. And we'll speak about McNair as well, because if McNair, who everyone was saying was our best player, and I probably think he was on his day, he definitely was our best player going into this transfer window, he's gone for around 5 million, hasn't he, to Middlesbrough. So why on earth would we get bloody 10 million for Joel Osoro? Granted, he's 18 and he has potential, but so does every single young player. Every single young player has potential. So, you know, if he does go, you know, of course I'll miss him. I think he does have potential to be a half-decent player. But we'll get over it and we'll move on. So, you know, if it happens, it happens. Now, elsewhere, we have just brought in, I think it's Jack Bainbridge. I'm not too sure whether it was Jack who's his first name. I've just guessed that. But he's going into the under-23s, which is good that we are pulling a bit of a focus to the under-23s and the youth squads as well, and we're bringing players in like that, like the other week when we brought in Jordan Hunter from Liverpool and put him in under-23s as well. So it's good that there is a focus on youth there as well. So, you know, I'm not going to pretend I know much about him, but he did previously play for Everton and Swansea. So, you know, again, it's good that we're bringing young players in like that. But yeah, so that's everything, guys. As of right now, I think I've covered everything as I'm recording this video. So, you know, let me know in the comments what you think about anything I've said. And if you did enjoy the video, hit the like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. But for now, you take care and stay jammed.